On August 15, 1977, a short radio signal originated from outer space was captured by an American radio telescope named Big Ear. Let's stop for a while and hear the recording of the signal. The signal was first discovered by a scientist volunteer named Jerry R. Eman, and its origins were approximated to be from the constellation Sagittarius. Monday morning, Eman was checking the records collected by the telescope. Eman was shocked by the records. The spontaneous scientist, not knowing he has discovered the most famous signal from outer space, wrote "Wow" on the datasheet. Hence, this mysterious signal became known as the WOW signal. To understand why the WOW signal was very intriguing, there are three aspects to look for when you are listening to the outer space. First is the frequency, second is the intensity, third is the modulation. While the WOW signal managed to score 2 points out of 3 mentioned before, it is still one of the most mysterious signals that we ever received from outer space. Let's closely analyze the three characteristics of the signal. In 1959, a scientific research paper authored by Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Cocconi has concluded that if any alien civilization had or is trying to communicate with us, they will probably use the same frequency of radiation the hydrogen element is emitting when there are changes in the energy state of the hydrogen atoms, which is exactly 1420 MHz, or a length of 21 cm for simplicity. Morrison's and Cocconi justification behind this is as follows, between a quotation mark. We may presume that the channel used will be one that places a minimum burden of frequency and angular discrimination on the detector. Moreover, the channel must not be highly attenuated in space or in the Earth's atmosphere. Therefore, the 21 cm frequency choice was justified by these several factors explained by Morrison and Cocconi. These factors are: first, the hydrogen spectrum can travel long distances, undisturbed, unabsorbed by other particles. Second, it can penetrate planetary atmospheres and cosmic dust, which is an obstacle to visible light. Third, it is the same frequency emitted by the most abundant element in the universe, which is hydrogen. Therefore, it could be assumed as an intergalactic communication language. Fourth, a transmitter of a radio signal would assume or be assumed that they were in the early stage of radio technology. Thus, the 21 cm frequency is the most suitable option, which is proved by our civilization itself, as it explained by the scientific paper. Between a quotation mark, it is reasonable to expect that sensitive receivers for this frequency will be made at an early stage of the development of radio astronomy. That would be the expectation of the operators of the assumed source, and the present state of terrestrial instruments indeed justifies the expectation. The 21 cm frequency is illegal to be used by average civilians in most of the countries. Now that we know that the 21 cm frequency is the most likely frequency to receive an alien signal through, the real question here is, what about the frequency of the WOW signal? In the beginning of the discovery of the WOW signal, there was some dispute whether the WOW signal used the same frequency of the 21 cm or not. However, this dispute was quickly dissolved after a clarification regarding the receiver settings. However, the receiver itself was later redesigned to automatically fix the error. Therefore, the wow signal did actually use the 21 centimeter frequency. When the signal lasted for only 72 seconds, it was described as loud and more bright and intense than anything in the sky that night. To understand the data printed on the records, we need to understand the indication behind the symbols represented in the second column of the sheet. To begin with, each number or letter has a meaning indicating the volume of the energy carried by the wave itself. Number 6 indicates that the range of the intensity is between 6.0 to 6.9, while the numbers 1 means that the range of the intensity varies between 1 to 1.9, 2 means the intensity varies between 2 to 2.9, and so on. Therefore, when reading the sheet, we can clearly see that the intensity of the signal has reached its peak at the center, represented by U, just before it started declining to reach a neutral state of 1, which indicates to irregular cosmic noise that are most likely ignored or filtered away by modern radio telescopes. Modulation in a nutshell is the technology of using a high-frequency signal called the carrier to carry a low-frequency signal called the message or the input signal. Using high-frequency signal as a carrier allows the signal to be captured by the slightest antennas could exist, while at the same time using a very small spectrum. The wow signal was unmodulated, and many scientists believe that an alien message would most likely use a modulated signal. Some others believe that a signal without a carrier could still be a strong clue on the existence of an intelligent life behind it. Even an unmodulated signal could still convey information. While an unmodulated signal does not carry information by itself, it still means something. Something like, hello, we are or we're here, just like we did use unmodulated signals in the 18th century, using Morse code to transfer all kinds of information, from government regular activities to military and regular civilian messages, all types of information. Could the wow signal be something similar to a Morse code that simply expects the listener to find the decode key? There were plenty of theories and speculations regarding the wow signal. One of the hypotheses is that the signal might have been emitted from Earth itself towards space, before it was reflected on one of the satellites or any debris in the orbit of Earth. Then it was reflected backward again towards the Big Ear radio telescope. Despite how promising this hypothesis sounds because it explains why only the Big Ear has detected the signal, it can still be excluded by the fact that the 21 centimeter frequency is already reserved for merely the use of astronomical purposes. Therefore, there is no way this frequency has been emitted from Earth. Additionally, the probability of a signal being reflected by an object in Earth's orbit is really not a satisfying argument. Others claim that the signal might have been emitted directly from Earth via military experiments, but this is still a weak argument since there was no clarification by the United States. The most promising and only explanation of the wow signal is that this signal could have been the result of a natural phenomena. A scientist named Antonio Paris, a professor of astronomy, concluded that the cause of the signal was simply a work of a comet named 266P Christensen, passing closely nearby Earth with a distance of only 1.35 astronomical units. In terms of cosmology, this is a really close distance, which explains the intensity of the signal. Furthermore, Christensen accompanied by clouds of hydrogen, which is the main candidate for the signal itself. Paris also claimed that the comet should be passing nearby again in 2017, and scientists could have an opportunity to prove his speculation correct. Disappointingly, that did not happen. When the comet was sighted again and observations were made, the comet was in different coordinates than it was originally sighted. Also, The strongest argument against Paris is that the comet's location itself in 1977 was not even in the line of sight of the Big Ear telescope. Therefore, there was no chance that this signal came from the comet Christensen, and Paris' hypotheses were rendered invalid for now. When some scientists still believe that they can revive the hypothesis of Paris, many others focus their attempts to detect the WOW signal again. All of them were met with null values. For now, there are no expectations of receiving a WOW signal once more.